Hey everyone, welcome to Simply Soccer. Today we're going over tips for midfielders and how to dominate the center of the park. Now, what defines a good midfield player? There are many positions within midfield. There's a winger, which is along the midfield, center mid, attacking center mid, defensive center mid, and so on. We're going to be concentrating mainly on central midfield. So what attributes and skills does a center midfield player need more than any other? Well, quite a few. I mean, one that I always go over is ball control, but it's definitely really essential as a central midfield player because you'll find yourself in very tight situations more than any other player because the center of the field can become very congested. So you may find yourself many times in the game have the ball played to you and another player be on you in a second. And in those kind of situations, you need very close control so that you can quickly do whatever it is you want to do and not have the ball bounce somewhere else and your opposition get it. But there are three main things I want to go over that will help you become a better midfield player. The first and one of the most important things may surprise you, but it's your positioning. Your positioning is basically where you are on the pitch in any given situation. This goes for when your team is attacking and your team is defending to your team taking set pieces and all that. This is an area that goes unnoticed for many players. Have you ever heard of someone saying or naming a professional player and going, you know what, a lot of what he does goes unnoticed. He's underrated. A lot of the time, that unnoticed and underrated quality that player has is they have really good positioning. That when the ball is somewhere, they take up a really good position and therefore can win the ball back or set up an opportunity and so on. I hear this said a lot about center defensive mids where people will say, you know what, if you don't actually go to the stadium and watch them play, you don't actually appreciate them for what they do because a lot of the time they'll be taking up very good positions to win the ball back or something of that nature. Your positioning as a center midfielder is very important. It can determine whether you get the ball in a dangerous position, whether you create space for your teammate, whether you can create space to take a shot, play a ball, be dangerous to the opposition. Positioning is very important for a center mid, especially since a center mid's responsibilities include attack and defensive duties. You're not a striker where your duties are mainly attacking, and you're not a center back where most of your duties require you just to defend. A center midfielder does both. So if you're positioned way too far up the field and the other team suddenly wins the ball and goes on a counterattack, that's poor positioning on your part because now you're stuck upfield and there's a huge gap in the middle of the park where you should be. So make sure that you work on your positioning. The second way to improve as a midfielder, and it's one I go over for pretty much every position, and it's to watch players, professional players at the top of the game who play your position. So if you're a center mid, you want to be looking at the best of the best who play center mid. A player I used to look at all the time was Steven Gerrard because, I know I'm a Liverpool fan, but to me he was someone who was the complete center midfielder. He could attack, he could defend, he could pass, he could create, he could shoot. He could do everything that was required of a center midfielder. Other good players were players like Paul Scholes and Frank Lampard were players I would watch. I would watch Zidane, although a center midfielder, a completely different type of player. But you want to watch players who play in your position. It's no good trying to emulate Cristiano Ronaldo if you're playing center back. It doesn't make sense. You don't want to do what Cristiano Ronaldo does if you're playing center back. If you're center back, you want to be looking at players like Vincent Kompany, John Terry, and so on. So always try and emulate a player and watch a player who plays in your position. A good one for center mids may be Paul Pogba, or is it Paul? Yeah, Pogba. He's a really good player who plays center mid, and he's one of the best in the world. There's definitely a lot you can learn from watching him. And the third thing that's very important for a midfielder, and you'll kind of realize this as you watch these players, that as a midfielder, you're going to be asked to dictate the tempo of the match, dictate the plays, dictate setting up chances, creating chances through passing. Pretty much a lot of good midfielders are at the focal point of everything good that happens for their team. If you look at Paul Pogba for Juventus, that's the case. Steven Gerrard back in his day, everything went through him. David Silva for Manchester City, Xavi and Iniesta for Barcelona, although it's not as much anymore. But a lot of what happens, and that's what is good for your team that happens, goes through the center midfield position. The passes from the back ideally want to go through to midfield, then to the strikers, or through to midfield and end up in a goal or a chance. You want your midfielders spraying balls out wide. You want them dictating the play. This is actually why I think center mid is the hardest position out of every position that's on the pitch, because they have a few more responsibilities than any other position. I mean, other positions are difficult. Being a striker, obviously, if you're not scoring goals, you're going to have a lot of pressure on you. If you're a defender and you're conceding a lot of goals, or you're a goalie and you're conceding a lot of goals, you're going to have a lot of pressure on you. But for a center midfielder, although they don't have that same amount of pressure, it's hard to play well in a game if your if the middle of the park isn't doing much, because the ball spends most of its time going through the middle of the park. So if your midfielders aren't playing well, most likely your strikers aren't getting any service and your defenders are being put under a lot of pressure. Yes, playing as center mid can be a bit intimidating because of that, but some of the best players play in that position, and if you do, you can definitely learn to become very, very good at it. Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new to Simply Soccer, please go down below and hit that subscribe button, and that way you'll be notified every time we release a video. We release 3 videos a week on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday or Sunday. We release tips, skill demonstrations, along with many other videos that are designed to help you become a better player. Our motto here is improve your game and stand out on the pitch, and we want to help you do that. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, like this video and share it on all platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and all that. That helps us a lot, and we very much appreciate it. If you have any soccer-related questions to ask me, put them in the comments below. I always answer. And if you have any video suggestions, things you want to see, skills you want to see, tips you want to, or things you want tips on, definitely leave that down below. I try and make a video on all of them if I can get to them. I have a list that I'm going through, but I have taken suggestions and I have made videos out of it. So don't think that I won't consider it and I won't make a video out of it, because I most likely will. So guys, do all that, leave that all down there, and I'll see you on the next video.